Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Step Forward, the channel for personal development through great books. This week, I want to share a message called A Little Gut-to-Gut Talk, inspired by an incredibly useful book called Gut, the inside story of our body's most underrated organ. The author is Giulia Enders. She uses a humorous and witty style to make the science of gut health, which is usually hard to understand, super easy and fun to read. As soon as it was published, this book broke sales records for health science books in Germany, was licensed in 36 other countries, and became a global bestseller. Many people think the gut is just an organ for holding food waste and digestion. Most of us don't know much about it and pay very little attention to it. But in reality, the gut is one of your most important super organs. In the human body, the only thing that can compare to it is the brain. That's why the gut is truly considered the second brain. If you suddenly feel down for no apparent reason, it might just be your moody gut acting up. It influences your subconscious and affects your mood. This isn't a joke. In our bodies, there's a happiness hormone called serotonin. This is the chemical that makes people feel happy. And 95% of the serotonin our body produces comes from cells in the gut. That's why when you're feeling down, you always want to eat something tasty. However, what to eat, a spicy hot pot, crispy fried chicken, or a creamy cake, your brain doesn't get to decide. Your gut tells your brain what it wants, and then your brain gives you the final instructions on what to choose. A really great thing about this book is that it doesn't just talk about the intestines, it covers the entire digestive system. Because to fully understand the gut, we first have to understand the whole system it's a part of. The author starts from the mouth, esophagus to the stomach to explain the journey of food in the human body in the most understandable way. Step Forward is really excited to share and recommend this book to all of you to help everyone gain more scientific knowledge and learn how to take care of their gut health, a super important organ. When your gut is healthy, you won't need medicine. Diseases can heal themselves. A healthy gut means smooth skin and a slim figure. These are the amazing things our gut is silently doing for us. So it's time for us to understand the magical journey of the gut, to know how to treat it well and appreciate it. All right, let's start with the first part titled, Normal Poop, Healthy You. Poop is innocent. It can't decide whether to stay or go on its own. Can you imagine a petite, beautiful German woman, a medical doctor, wrote a popular science book and started it with a story about poop? We're also going to start today's video with a slightly smelly but interesting story like that. Because whether your poop is healthy or not is very important for your body. The color, shape, and smell of your poop all convey information about your health. The act of pooping seems simple, but it's actually a highly technical action. This action isn't just a simple expansion and contraction of the anus. It's a process completed through the cooperation of our two main nervous systems. The muscles that control the opening and closing of the anus are called the external sphincter. This muscle is controlled by our conscious will. The stronger your conscious will, the better you can control it. It will follow your command and prevent poop from coming down. For example, if you're driving and suddenly have to go, you definitely don't want to take care of business right there. With your strong conscious will, the external sphincter will try to clench tight. Then, a few centimeters from the anus, there's a similar organ called the internal sphincter, but it's not controlled by our conscious will. When you feel a strong urge to poop, that's the internal sphincter telling you something. So, how does this process play out so vividly in our bodies? Here, when poop reaches the sphincters, it reflexively opens to prepare for the release of a vanguard. At this point, sensory cells between the two sphincters will analyze the nature of this vanguard. Is it solid or gas? After determining this, your brain will collect visual, auditory, and environmental information. If everything isn't ready for you to release this vanguard, the external sphincter will command it not to come out. If you can't hold it, you can only let out a little gas, the solid part stays put. So the external sphincter squeezes tighter. The internal sphincter senses the change and cooperates with the external sphincter to bring the vanguard back.
After a while, the internal sphincter will check the situation again. The result is that you feel the urge to go getting stronger. After gritting your teeth and holding it in, you finally have to find a suitable place to do the deed. At this point, the external and internal sphincters work together to send the vanguard out without any obstruction. Holding in your poop puts both the internal and external sphincters under high tension. When you hold it, the external sphincter, heavily influenced by your conscious will, can recover after being extremely tired and then enter a state of tension again. But as the internal sphincter gets more and more tired, it can lose its motivation. This way, the internal and external sphincters have a hard time communicating and connecting with each other. And a direct consequence of this is constipation. Therefore, we shouldn't hold in our poop. To avoid this unfortunate situation, the best way is to train yourself to go at a specific time each day that you can control. Our gut is extremely autonomous and remembers what we like to eat, when we wake up, and when we go to the bathroom. It will then form its own fixed biological clock, working and living seriously. If everything is within the scope of its biological clock, it will be full of energy. But if its biological clock is disrupted by you, it will find you and make you pay with all sorts of discomfort. A gut-to-gut talk. The second brain needs you to be happy. Scientific studies prove that the brain dominates and controls the human body. But it's not the only king. The gut also impacts brain activity. Early neurological research showed that the number of nerve cells in the entire human gut is 10 times the number of nerve cells in the spinal cord. Not only that, but the gut can also send signals to different areas of the brain. If the brain is the president working in a high-class office, the skull and meninges, then our gut is the foreign expert on the front lines. The gut's job is to interact with hormones, immune cells, and gut bacteria in the blood, collect information, and then transmit it up through the vagus nerve pathway so the brain can sit in its office without having to go out. Therefore, it can be said that our gut always influences our brain and is also closely related to our emotions. That's why the ancients used to call the feeling of pain heartache. If you don't have the energy to digest, you won't be able to eat, or the food you eat won't have enough digestive juices. If digestive activity is reduced for a long time, the intestinal wall will become thin due to insufficient blood supply, and the protective function of the mucosa will decrease. Soon after that, the intestinal microbiota and immune cells will also be disrupted. If these two things are messed up, the environment in the gut will be chaotic. At this point, a chain reaction occurs. The final result is that you have no appetite and feel sluggish all over. What's most important to note is that even when you're no longer stressed, your gut health doesn't recover immediately. It takes a long time to restore the digestive environment. Poor gut health will affect your mood and make you feel unhappy. This is a vicious cycle with serious consequences. Therefore, based on what I've analyzed above, we can improve our health by changing small habits in our lives. The old saying is not wrong. Don't let anything ruin your meal. No matter what terrible thing you're facing, when you eat, don't bring a heavy heart to the table. Enjoy your food mindfully and comfortably. Don't bring unhappiness, arguments, or conflicts to the dining table. In short, the gut does a lot of hard work for the brain, but always quietly hides its contributions. Conversely, the state of the gut directly affects the brain. When you lose control of your emotions, sadness, anxiety, and prolonged stress will harm the gut, and the gut will continue to send negative feedback to the brain, making you feel even more unhappy. To improve this situation, you need to learn to stay calm while eating. From my personal experience, practicing mindful eating will help you do this. What does the gut like to eat? The food we consume mainly consists of carbohydrates, fats, and fiber to promote the contraction of the small intestine. In all energy sources, carbohydrates from fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, sprouts, and legumes are made up of sugar molecules. This is the easiest to digest and absorb. It provides the body with energy the fastest, but it also makes you hungry the quickest because it's not a sustainable energy source.
In short, you'll see that the gut likes a balanced diet. In the book, Healing Diet, Healing Fast, it's emphasized that the real key to health lies in balance. For modern people today, eating to heal or maintain health is not about dieting, avoiding fats, completely eliminating sugar to lose weight quickly, or eating any kind of magic food. On the contrary, the first thing we need to pay attention to is not to overeat, eat natural foods, avoid overly processed foods, eat plenty of good fats, and get a moderate amount of protein. Control refined sugar, or better yet, avoid sugar from high-carbohydrate foods, including white rice, flour, bread, pasta, etc., and foods containing refined sugar. If we consider the small intestine as a city, then the nervous system of the small intestine is the mayor, and the residents of that city are the gut bacteria. These residents play a decisive role in the development of the entire city, and they also determine our health. Every day, these bacterial residents contribute to the construction of the small intestine city. When the bacteria live well, the small intestine is healthy. A healthy small intestine ensures your health. Moreover, the bacteria in the small intestine can also build the immune system. You'd hardly imagine that most of our immune system is actually in the small intestine. It accounts for 80% of the entire body's immune system. So what exactly do we need to do here? First, eat more fiber-rich foods, vegetables, and fruits daily. This is the best, most scientific way to protect our small intestine. The recommended amount for Vietnamese people is at least 20 to 25 grams of fiber per day. And finally, let's give our gut more quiet time. For the past 6 months, I've started practicing intermittent fasting 16/8 and have gradually made it a regular lifestyle. Intermittent fasting 16/8 is not a diet or a method of restricting calorie intake, as many websites claim, but a balanced eating method where you get all your needed calories within an 8-hour window. For the remaining 16 hours, I don't eat anything. So that's a part of the content that Step Forward has summarized and selected from this book. Because this is a popular science book, it contains many more details and interesting health knowledge that you need to read and discover for yourself to apply to your daily eating habits. Finally, after all the knowledge about the gut from today's video, Step Forward really hopes that all of you in our community can treat your gut health with more kindness and respect. A happy mood is a panacea for health. Eating moderately and correctly is a wonderful medicine for health. Exercise is an investment in health, and habits are the source of health. And health will gift you a destiny full of happiness and miracles. I wish for all of us to know how to cherish our physical and mental health. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please give me a like, share it with those who need it, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch the latest videos every week. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next videos.